UFC 302 Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier just ended, and this is going to be my full card recap. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, we have André Lima versus Mitch Raposo. André Lima gets a split decision win. Yes, a split decision win. Judges were horrible tonight. Lima won this fight pretty clearly. Was chopping the legs. Basically, the story of the fight was Lima's leg kicks. Mitch Raposo stepped in on short notice. Didn't look particularly horrible, but didn't look particularly good. This is just the new bottom of the barrel UFC caliber. Lima clearly won the first round with leg kicks. Landed a knee, I believe, in the first round as well. Second round was super uneventful outside of Lima poking Raposo in the eyes twice and also grabbing the fence, which wouldn't be the UFC without, having new gloves and 2 eye pokes in the very first fight of the night. If you want to get rid of eye pokes, forget about the gloves. Start taking points for guys who do this. Then all of a sudden we'll start seeing this more often. We'll start seeing that. Second round, uneventful. Maybe you could give it to Raposo, but I would still give it to Lima. Third round, Lima took him off his feet with a good leg kick, good hard leg kick. Lima clearly won the third round. So should have been a clean decision for Lima, but overall, uneventful performance, uninspiring performance. This card, I think the main event kind of saved it, but this card overall was kind of shitty, to be quite honest. But Lima gets a split decision win. Should have had a point deduction. The fact he's poking this dude in the eye twice, back to back. Like, at this point, I'm glad he got bit in his last fight. Hopefully they give that guy another opportunity because he did as a service. But Lima gets it done. Not super impressive, gets it done. This is the new low-level, bottom-of-the-barrel UFC caliber fighters now. Moving up on the card, we have Jocelyn Edwards, Ailin Perez. Ailin Perez gets the decision win, unanimous decision win. First round, there were some scrambles. Ailin Perez ended up on top, doing some decent damage on top, then gets reversed late. Second round, Edwards got a takedown off a guillotine, I believe it was. Ended up in a good position, but then there's like a head clash. And she's like, Ailin Perez was like wrapping up both of her arms. And like, you had Edwards try to pick her up and slam her. They clash heads. Joe Rogan and the entire commentary team called it an intentional headbutt the entire time. They're smoking crack every time there's a head clash like that. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's going to be looking for this. Ailin Perez gets a stand-up. Immediately after stand-up, drops her. Perez drops her. I think it was a spinning back fist. But Perez doesn't even really look for the finish. It was crazy. She ends up looking for a takedown off of hurting her. Ends up, on bottom, but still gets the round. So you had round 2. And then round 3 was a horrible round. Edwards landed some good leg kicks, good body kicks. You had some takedowns from Perez, but she did absolutely zero damage. So Ailin Perez won 2 out of 3, in my opinion. Lost the third round. But the new precedent with these head clashes now, everyone's going to be looking at the ref, please save me. If there's even incidental head contact now. There was no real impact from Edwards, and she was literally crying to the ref, and the ref stopped it, stood him up, and then Rogan and them were complaining about it the entire fight. The commentary was so bad tonight, just dick riding certain fighters, and Perez was one of them. So Perez gets the win. Moving up on the card, we have Mickey Gall versus Bassil Hafez. Bassil Hafez wins via unanimous decision. By the way, you see a theme here. Decision. Bassil Hafez, super aggressive. You could tell he thought he was going to knock out Mickey Gall. Very, very aggressive. Landing big shots, switching stances. Getting wild, and Gall started to find some success, but really first round was clearly Hafez. Second round, Gall started to have more success because Hafez was really getting crazy and wild. But still, in the second round, you had Hafez landed some big shots. Throughout this fight, I think it was twice in this fight, Mickey Gall got hurt, like not crazy hurt, but like hurt where he started running for his life, like kind of just circling and circling really, really fast around the cage. That happened in I believe it was the first and second. It might have happened in the third as well, or the third instead of the first, I'm thinking. And then, so I had Hafez first 2 rounds. Third round, Mickey Gall landing big shots. Hafez was starting to slow down. I think Hafez got a takedown at the last 30 seconds of the third round, but then let Gall up and then slugged it out for the last 10 seconds. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool moment on the card. Had a 2-1 Bassil Hafez. Bassil Hafez gets the win. Unanimous decision. Fun fight overall. Mickey Gall actually exceeded expectations. I thought he was going to get slaughtered, but it seemed like Hafez just doesn't have that big of power. He has pretty good grappling. Didn't really use it in this fight. I think Gall got a takedown in I want to say the second round, but it was only for a split second. There was times where Bassil Hafez would get clipped and off balance. I think it was in the third round. Got clipped and was off balance. Never really got stung really bad. never got hurt or wobbled, but there was a few times where he really got tagged good, and I think one of the times he went down, it might have been twice, or it might have been once he went down and then once he stumbled back, but overall, Bassil Hafez gets it done. Pretty clear win for Bassil Hafez. Moving up on the card, Phil Rowe versus Jake Matthews. I don't even want to talk about this fight. Jake Matthews wins via unanimous decision. Phil Rowe was actually looking good in the first round. He's kind of moving slow, heavy on the lead leg, but pumping the jab, landing the right hand right behind it. And I don't understand. Matthews was like throwing wild shots and not really landing. And then towards the end of the first round, Matthews grabbed his cup. And it was considered a cup shot, and they stopped the fight for a little bit. It seemed like Rowe was never the same. After that second round, I don't know if it's gas tank. I don't know if it had anything to do with the nut shot. Nut shot didn't appear to be too bad. But tired in the second round, sluggish, getting clipped, still not getting like wiped to the floor with big shots, but still getting clipped, where before he was kind of avoiding some of them. Landed some stiff jabs in the second round, started to have a little bit of a comeback, but it was basically Rowe just avoiding big shots and occasionally getting clipped and then occasionally landing a jab. Third round, Phil Rowe's shot got bodied, ended up getting the reversal, ended up on top, and then ends up getting reversed himself and ended up on the bottom. And Matthews seals out the round. So if Rowe would have been able to keep that top position, maybe he would have won in the third round. Overall, I don't even know what to think about Jake Matthews anymore. Sometimes he looks good. Sometimes he's losing to Diego Sanchez. Other times, he's looking like a world beater against André Fialho. And tonight, I think he looked decent. But overall, I think, Phil Rowe and Jake Matthews, neither one looks super impressive. But Jake Matthews gets it done, guys. He gets it done. Wins via unanimous. I believe this was a unanimous decision. Let me check because there were some split decisions on the card. Yes, he gets it done via unanimous decision. Moving up on the card, we have Grant Dawson, Joe Solecki. Grant Dawson flying knee early, takedown. Solecki starts looking for a guillotine, never finds it. After that, cements top position. Got cut from an elbow from the bottom, and that was the extent of the entire damage that Solecki did for the fight, because then Dawson, every single round, took him down, controlled him. Second round, there was like maybe 20 seconds of striking. Both of them look like they have a physical disability. And Grant Dawson would just get a takedown and control from top, and Solecki had nothing to offer off his back. It was an embarrassing performance by both guys. Boring, horrible fight. Grant Dawson just dominated him with the ground. There's really not much to say. Grant Dawson needs to stay on the prelims. Didn't even get to the back. Never really got out of guard. Was just he had some okay ground and pound in the second and third, but never really let loose with the ground and pound. Solecki had nothing to offer off his back after the first round. It was tough to watch. It made me want to go to sleep. But Grant Dawson gets it done. Moving up on the card, we have Jailton Almeida versus Alexandr Romanov. Well, what an easy fight to talk about and remember. Jailton Almeida looked for a single leg, didn't get it, got to the body lock, easy outside trip takedown. From there, got the back, started looking for the rear naked choke, was kind of a neck crank, looked to finish it from a neck crank, didn't get it, readjust. And even with the neck crank, Romanov wasn't fighting the hands. Readjust, eventually finds the choke. Romanov, instead of fighting the hands, fighting the grip, because I believe the grip was palm to palm, instead of fighting that, he grabs the fence with both hands. He stands up and grabs the fence with both hands while he's getting choked out, instead of trying to defend the choke. I don't even know what these heavyweights are. Garbage, guys. The heavyweights are such low level compared to other weight classes. So Romanov gets choked out. Jailton Almeida, the best part about this performance, Jailton Almeida calls out Gall for Perez, which I think is a banger, and I think the UFC should make that fight. Gall, questionable grappling, showed decent in his last fight against Spivak, turned down a title shot apparently against Tom Aspinall, which is craziness. But Jailton Almeida calls him out afterwards. I think that's a fight. I think that's the fight to make. I think it's a good fight. Jailton Almeida still threw no ground and pound shots. Never got touched with a shot himself. But this makes me have a higher respect for Derek Lewis for not getting choked out, even though, Romanov's not particularly good. I already could imagine, if Jailton Almeida didn't get it right away, he would have got it eventually anyway, because Romanov has no cardio. It's like 2-3 fights ago, Romanov came in shape and never showed up in shape ever again. Didn't show up in shape for this fight either. So Jailton Almeida gets it done rather easily. Moving up on the card, the featured prelim, we have Roman Kopylov versus César Almeida. Roman Kopylov gets it done via split decision. Horrible split decision. Clearly Roman Kopylov won rounds 1 and 3. Roman Kopylov, some low fight IQ in this fight. So early, landing good kicks, rocks Almeida. You have Almeida throwing some kicks himself, throwing some teeps, throwing some leg kicks. Kopylov gets a takedown early, doesn't really follow up, eventually hurts him, lands some hammer fist, but then lets him up, but doesn't just let him up and wave him up right away, stands over him where the ref doesn't let him stand up and kind of takes a breather and lets Almeida take a breather as well. I could not believe that. Got a takedown to end the round, had some control time. Kopylov did very little damage on the ground. Clearly won the first round. The biggest strike from Almeida was a hard body kick that really reddened up the midsection of Kopylov. Second round, Kopylov was exhausted. Almeida's walking him down. Kopylov failed a couple takedown attempts, but finally got one, and then just laid in guard for half the round. It was embarrassing. It was tough to watch. It was pissing me off. And that's why I thought Almeida won the second round, because Almeida was winning on the feet prior to that takedown. Kopylov didn't do anything with the takedown. So shame on him. Third round, Kopylov gets a takedown damn near immediately. Lays in guard while Herb just claps and claps and claps and claps. Says, work. Work. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Work. Work. My name's Herbert. Work. Please work. My name's Herbert. Get up. Work. Finally stands them up, but it was like too little too late. Stands him up. Kopylov shoots another takedown. Immediately takes him down. Does almost no damage. He lands like one shot every 10 to 15 seconds. But Kopylov clearly wins the third round. There's no doubt Almeida did nothing in the third round outside of lay on his back. Almeida has literally no takedown defense. Kopylov has no cardio, especially when he's grappling. I mean, what do I really say? People were hyping up Almeida because of his kickboxing background. Oh, he kickboxed against Alex Pereira 25 years ago. You know, I wasn't even born yet, and Almeida's fighting Alex Pereira, and they're hyping those wins up. They're not wins. Win. He had one win. Dude has no grappling. Kopylov's primarily a striker, and Kopylov looked horrible in this fight. So I used to be high on Kopylov. Never again will I be high on Kopylov. This was an embarrassing performance from Kopylov. Completely gassed. Couldn't even he wasn't even working hard on the ground. He was just laying in his... There was at points I thought Kopylov was going to sleep in this fight. Second round, sleeping in guard. Third round, sleeping in guard. Herb should have done more. And I know, there was the crowd chanting stand him up, which I think Herb was like, well, you know what? I'm not listening to the crowd. Respect my authority. That's what I was imagining Herbert was saying in his head. So, shouldn't have been a split decision. 1-3, clearly Kopylov. Kopylov's horrible fight IQ. Could have finished it in the first, to be honest. But stood there for 10 seconds, letting him recover, not even trying to do anything. Delusional, horrible fight IQ. I don't know what he was doing, but gets the win ultimately anyway via split decision. So the right guy won. Moving up on the card. First fight on the main card, we have Randy Brown versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. Great fight. I expected this to be a pretty good fight. Randy Brown wins via unanimous decision, which is what I thought should have happened. Randy Brown landed some good jabs, some good right hands. There was an eye poke. Randy Brown poked dos Santos. Ref stops it for a second. Dos Santos is kind of turning around. He's like, fight, no fight, no fight. Starts him back up, gets eye poked again, doesn't stop it. Says, no, keep fighting. Makes absolutely no sense. So Brown was winning, landed a big knee late as Dos Santos was attempting to clinch. Clear first round for Brown. Second round, Brown got cracked early, then ends up getting taken down, gives up his back, ends up getting controlled. Ends up, I think it was so you had Dos Santos get a takedown, started looking for a rear naked choke, eventually gets reversed in the second round. Randy Brown starts looking for a rear naked choke and lands a couple good elbows, but second round still went to Dos Santos, landed on the feet, got the takedown, had a bunch of control time. Third round, another eye poke from Brown. Apparently Jason Herzog talked to the ref in between, so he actually gave him a real break this time, even though this referee seemed dead behind the eyes. But Brown was just landing knees, landed jabs, landed a nasty knee, and then got a late takedown himself. Or no, late takedown. There was a late takedown by Dos Santos. Yeah, there was a late takedown by Dos Santos, but didn't really do much with it. Randy Brown was winning the round. 1-3 was clear for Randy Brown. If Dos Santos can't create a war, he doesn't have a lot of success. And he's getting older. Randy Brown's striking looked really crisp. His grappling left some to be desired, obviously. But overall, I thought he looked pretty decent on the feet. And I thought this was a really solid fight considering all the shitty fight. I mean, literally, was there a good fight? There was barely any good fights on this card. It's crazy. But overall, Randy Brown gets the unanimous decision. Moving up on the card, Niko Price versus Alex Morono. Niko Price gets a decision win. The dead body of Niko Price. First round, Morono was clearly winning. Got taken down. Started looking for omoplata. Morono got a takedown, but then they end up scrambling back to their feet. Both looked horrible, but Morono was landing the better shots. After that, Morono just slowed down. Price was pressuring him, landing better shots, stunned him in the second round with a right hand, got a takedown, got some control. I think in the second round, Morono was looking for a guillotine. Third round, Niko was just walking him down. Imagine getting walked down by Niko Price. Imagine that. Just walking him down, out-grappling him. I think he took him down once or twice in the third round as well. Niko Price clearly won, but do you guys even want to hear about this fight? I don't know that you guys do. This is going to be one of the shortest pay-per-view post-fights ever. Niko Price wins via unanimous decision. People were questioning whether he fluked out and got paid off to take a dive for Robbie Lawler. This dude comes out and gets a win. I thought he was like Tony Ferguson level dead corpse. At this point, I like Tony Ferguson to beat Morono. Morono has fallen off a cliff over the last 2 years. I remember when he's having a competitive fight against Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think that Ponzinibbio fight changed him. Losing to Niko Price, there's no coming back to that. There's no coming back from that. So Niko Price gets it done. Moving up on the card. Featured fight on the main card. Kevin Holland versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk landing left hands. Drops him with the left hand. Bad. Follows him to the ground. Starts landing some follow-up shots. Leaves one arm in. And Kevin Holland starts going for an armbar. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk refuses to tap. Kevin Holland just hyperextends it badly. Looks like it's dislocated. Rogan's screaming, it's broken. I'm not sure that it actually was broken. It might have just been dislocated. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk refusing to tap even once it supposedly broke. And then Herb Dean steps in because Kevin Holland's saying, oh, it's broken. Look, I'm not saying Oleksiejczuk was still going to win because his arm was going to be severely compromised afterwards. Kind of hate the stoppage. Kind of don't hate the stoppage, but Joe Rogan was really annoying the piss out of me the way he kept saying over and over and over again, oh, it's definitely broken. It literally looked like it dislocated at the joint, similar to Jamal Hill, Paul Craig. Similar to that, which wasn't broken as well, which looked pretty bad. So who knows? Maybe Mikhail Oleksiejczuk could have come back. He was pissed. He complained to the ref as soon as he stopped it. Right as he stopped it, it almost looked like Mikhail Oleksiejczuk was starting to kind of scramble out, but that's because his arm was bent backwards. I'm curious to see what the diagnosis is on the injury, but now Kevin Holland gets a win. In the post-fight, admits that he's a gatekeeper, which is what he is. And honestly, what's more to say about it? Kevin Holland gets Dana White privileged. Apparently, they were going to feed him the dead body of Nick Diaz, but they didn't do that. So he gets a win here. I think he was going to lose to Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I picked Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland just isn't good, and people hype him up just because he talks a lot. It drives me up a wall. But at the end of the day, you got to give Kevin Holland credit for getting hurt badly, finding the wherewithal to scramble and get an armbar, basically. So Mikhail Oleksiejczuk's got to work on that for sure. Kevin Holland gets a first-round armbar, and at least it was an exciting fight. Okay, I'll give him that. It was an exciting fight. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. To the death. This was a war. Oh, my God. Sean Strickland went out there to bleed for the fans. What an absolute war this was. I haven't seen a fight like this since Jiří Procházka versus Glover Teixeira. This was the craziest fight ever. Sean Strickland wins via split decision, which people had their panties in a bunch about. By the way, this wasn't a war. If you don't sense the sarcasm, people are going to call me crazy. People are going to disagree with me. I think there's a good case to be made that Paulo Costa won this fight. People are freaking out. 4-1 for Costa. 4-1 for Costa. This is egregious. When all you do is jab and teep kick, literally any of the rounds could have went either way. And I know people are going to say the knockdowns, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are judging this off of. The knockdowns combined with the biased commentary. The knockdowns did not exist. None of those knockdowns were real. First and second round, I had Costa winning just based off leg kick damage. I had round 1 and 2 for Costa. Round 3, Strickland clearly won round 3. The whole entire fight, Costa just backed up like a little pussy the entire fight. Strickland actually walked forward, but he's neutralizing his opponent, but all he does is pump the jab and teep kicks. Horrible fight, atrocious fight, but Strickland won the third round. Fourth round was kind of close. I gave it to Costa. Heavy leg kicks. I know Strickland was checking some of them, but Strickland's just marching forward, teeps and jabs. I thought Costa's leg kicks were doing more damage. Costa was landing an occasional big left hand as well. I don't even know if that was the fourth round. Fourth round, I gave to Costa. Again, none of the, even though I thought Costa won when I'm watching it live, I did not think this was a robbery at all. I literally think you could have gave it 4-1 Costa. I don't even think that judge is that crazy, other than the fact that they gave the only round, I think Dave Tyrell gave Strickland was round 5, which is craziness, because round 5, I actually thought you could give Costa as well. It's a close round. Strickland had that crazy flurry at the end, but by the way, when you actually watched it, none of the shots landed. He threw some head kicks. That was the only time Strickland fought exciting in the entire fight, was the last 10 seconds. Look, the way I see it is Strickland won this fight in a similar way to DDP. It was a close fight with close rounds, and Strickland was the one moving forward. That's it. I don't think it's crazy to think Costa won. Costa just peppered at the body the entire time and slammed hard leg kicks. The biggest damage that Sean Strickland did all fight was checking the leg kicks. That's it. Dude just pumped the jab. He landed some really solid teep kicks. But when I'm watching Costa chew up that calf, causing Strickland to switch stances a little bit, causing him to square up on his stance, I'm seeing Costa slam home that left hook. I'm seeing Costa pepper the body a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I think 1 and 2 were pretty clear for Costa. If you want to give 3, 4, and 5 to Strickland, fair enough. But don't cite the stats. Those stats are completely bogus. The commentary was dick riding Sean Strickland the entire time. And it was craziness. They were acting like, even the UFC tweeted out, dominant performance by Strickland. Look, if you scored it for Strickland, I have no problems with that. Absolutely no problems with that. To call that a dominant win in any respect is a complete embarrassment to the word dominant. Okay? Complete embarrassment to the word dominant. John Jones dominated Dominic Reyes before Sean Strickland dominated Paulo Costa. This was a dog shit fight. I wish Paulo Costa would have pulled out. I wish it wouldn't have been 5 rounds. And I'm tired of Sean Strickland getting a pass for literally being one of the most boring fighters on the roster just because he says ridiculous shit in the media. And now he's saying, I'm sitting out for a title shot off of that performance. If you enjoyed that performance, I mean, I didn't think it was the worst fight ever. Paulo Costa, and I'm not laying all the blame at Strickland. It's actually more Costa's fault than Strickland, but it's both their faults. Because Strickland neutralizes his opponent's offense, does a good job at neutralizing it, and then doesn't do anything but jab and teep. It was craziness. Costa shot a few kind of half-hearted takedowns, but never really looked for it. And was just chopping the legs. Costa's corner thought he had the first 2 rounds. I thought it was pretty clear. The commentary thought that was egregious. They were flabbergasted. Why would they tell him he won the first 2 rounds? I don't know, because he chopped his leg up. And Strickland did jack shit. But this entire fight, Paulo Costa deserved to lose. If I was a judge, even though I'm saying I personally scored it for Costa, I probably would have scored it for Strickland. Because I'm like, nah, dude, this dude backed up the entire time. Didn't try to engage that much. So at the end of the day, the war, the thing that it wasn't the war, it's both their fault, but Costa backed up the entire time. So we got to lay some blame at his feet as well. Embarrassing performance. And like, you're calling for a title shot after that? Damn, that's like Grant Dawson's call out of Tony Ferguson. I think Strickland looked like shit. Strickland looked like Strickland, but he looked like shit. Costa, I'm never picking Costa ever again. I think, I don't know. I think he just came out and Strickland has that wonky style and it's hard to figure out. Like, I did not expect Costa to back up the entire time and never throw any head kicks. Threw like 1 head kick the whole fight, landed it. Spinning back head kick, missed it. I don't know what Costa was thinking. Costa walked down prime Yoel Romero or borderline prime Yoel Romero. He's scared of Strickland, who never finishes anyone, who has no power ever. Well, I don't know what was going on there. And this is post-USADA Costa. Cut Costa from the roster. He actually is as shit as people make him out to be. And I thought he was better than people make him out to be. And I thought Strickland was overrated. So either way, if you want to score it for Strickland because he moved forward, congrats. But this was one of the worst co-main events ever. Especially considering it had a decent amount of hype. I'm sick that it was 5 rounds. But moving on to the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Islam Makhachev defends his lightweight title. 5th round Darce choke. Dustin tapped, but he also went out cold, which I don't think I mentioned. I did a full breakdown, which I'll link down in the description if you want to go check out. I did like a 15-20 minute breakdown on the main event. Dominant win for Islam. I know people are going to say it wasn't dominant. I already know if it wasn't for the 5th round finish, people would have been delegitimizing this win for Islam. I think this was a great win for Islam, and I don't even think this was the best version of Islam. I know there's rumors circulating around of potential staph. I think if he had it a couple weeks ago, but who knows, it could have affected him, could have affected his cardio. But either way, forget about that. Whether it was staph or an off night, I do not think this was the best version of Islam we've seen And he went out there and outboxed. I said this in my full breakdown of my detailed breakdown of the main event. Outboxed Dustin Poirier. Islam Makhachev is the best MMA striker. He is the best striker in the UFC right now. And I know people are going to say, oh, what, Joey, what? I don't care. Threat of the takedown sets up the striking. First round, dominated him in the grappling, took his back, looked for or before he took his back, he boxed him up on the feet, took him down, looked for a Kimura, got the back. Second round was kind of close, but I still had Islam landing the better shots, plus he got a takedown at the end, ground and pound. Third round, there was the head clash that busted up Dustin Poirier's nose, but then you had the knee, the uppercut, took him to the ground, beat him up a little bit on the ground, got full mount. Poirier ended up pushing off the cage and getting out of it. They got back to their feet. You know, it was third round. Islam Makhachev clearly won, is what I'm saying. Actually, you know what? I think I'm messing up here. Let me actually double check here. No, I was right. So once they got back to their feet, he did get full mount. I was thinking that maybe that was the fourth round, but no, that was the round with the elbow. Third round, gets him in the full mount. Once they get back to their feet, Dustin lands a couple shots in the clinch, but Islam Makhachev still landing on the feet. Clear fourth round, or clear third round for Islam Makhachev. Best round of the fight outside of the finishing round. Fourth round, Dustin stuffing some takedowns a bit. And there ends up getting a point where Islam has him in Daggy style up against the fence. Ragdolls him a little bit. Dustin Poirier kind of points to his knee. Apparently hurts his knee. And right after this, I believe he got him down for a second. Dustin Poirier hits a switch. Ends up getting back to like a standing position, but kind of right into the clinch. And as he's going into the clinch, lands a nasty elbow that cuts Islam Makhachev right across the forehead. Starts profusely bleeding. But then after that, Islam's still landing some good shots. So, and right after the initial elbow, Dustin Poirier lands some good body shots. So round 4, I could kind of understand for Dustin Poirier, but I still wouldn't have given it to him. I thought Islam landed the better shots on the feet. Like, I understand damage. It's not just visible damage. It's, concussive damage as well. Impactful damage and everything in between. So stop just, Dominic Cruz would have went back and rescored the first 3 rounds because of the cut. I thought fourth round, if you gave it to Dustin, I don't hate you for it. I don't think it's delusional, but I still think Islam got the fourth round. Fifth round, looks like the momentum's starting to shift. The commentary team's starting to suck off Dustin a little bit. Islam shooting on takedowns, getting stuffed. Eventually he gets a single leg. Gets Dustin down. Dustin scrambles right back up. Tries to get away. Islam holds onto the ankle. Snaps Dustin down with like a weird off angle. Dustin kind of lands face first. He goes to pop up. Islam gets in the front headlock position. Starts to lock in a guillotine. Dustin goes to his back, and out of nowhere, boom, Islam latches up the Darce choke. I don't even think Dustin Poirier saw it coming. Dustin Poirier taps, which is crazy that, front head choke, regardless of if it's a guillotine, Darce, whatever you want to call it, anaconda. It's kind of ironic that Islam Makhachev got that finish, because of Dustin's history of pulling the guillotine and then talk about that coming into this fight. But Dustin taps out, but then he goes to sleep. Islam Makhachev gets it done. Super impressive performance by Islam. Outstruck Dustin Poirier. I think this was an off night for Islam too. I really do. And his legacy, this is a name on his legacy that I know people are going to try to say, oh, Dustin Poirier, he didn't deserve it. Dustin Poirier is still an elite fighter. I know he may retire. He's still an elite fighter. The fact that he may retire before Tony Ferguson is a complete travesty. I talked about this in my other video as well. But overall, I think this is a great win. And I think even if Islam would have went to decision, I think it would have still been a damn good win. I think people would have delegitimized it a little bit. Oh, he went to war, and one judge, I believe it was Chris Lee, had it 2-2. All the other judges had it 3-1. I think Saul D'Amato was the only one that actually had it correct, which was crazy. Or at least he only gave the fourth round to Dustin. But realistically, I wouldn't have gave Dustin a round. Islam outstruck him. Islam outgrappled him. Dustin didn't even really land any big shots in this fight outside of that elbow. And he landed a couple jabs. And I think there was like one good left hand in the 5th round. But Islam Makhachev, so well-rounded. I think he's the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. I think he's getting better every single fight. And I think the legacy, he's about to surpass Khabib, if not already. If he beats Arman Tsarukyan, he called for the Leon Edwards fight, but Joe Rogan was kind of baiting him into calling for the Leon Edwards fight. Leon Edwards may not be champion after July, which is next month. Holy shit, it's going to be July next month. He may lose to Bilal. Islam and Bilal have a history of training together, so maybe they won't fight each other. But either way, I want to see Arman get his title shot. I want to see Islam Arman too. And I think if Islam beats Arman, he's definitely surpassed Khabib. But Arman could give him trouble. Arman has really good cardio, really good scrambles, and his hands are improving. One thing I do want to mention, we talk about Islam potentially having an off night. Never threw any kicks, really. I think he landed like one body kick in maybe the first or second round. Outside of that, never went to it. Dustin Poirier never really landed any kicks. I think he threw like 2 leg kicks the entire fight. Dustin's biggest success was in the clinch a bit. Islam would kind of get a Muay Thai clinch, hold on to it because he was comfortable there, and Dustin would make him pay for it by throwing volume to the body. So outside of that, it's like Dustin kind of overachieved and, exceeded expectations. So people are going to act like this fight was more competitive than it is. But Islam Makhachev clearly won this fight. I mean, obviously he got a finish, but Islam Makhachev should have been up on the scorecards. Islam Makhachev handled Dustin Poirier. Did he finish him in the first round? No. Did he finish him in the second round? No. But I think this was something more valuable. Got a lot of experience. Kind of started to get tired and found a choke in the 5th round. Had he not got that choke in the 5th round, Chris Lee's probably giving 5th round to Dustin Poirier. So you're looking at a split decision. So overall, super impressed with Islam Makhachev's win. And that's my recap of UFC 302. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of the main event? What you guys think of the co-main event? Let me know down in the comments. I'm sure you will. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.